News from the front lines. German panzers appeared on the lines of contact, forming an armoured spearhead west of Bryansk and putting immediate pressure on the 7th Army's defensive positions. Our men were not equipped to deal with the heavily armoured vehicles and had to give ground after fierce resistance. Soldiers would attack enemy tanks with grenades and mines, but were repulsed by the well-trained German infantry. In order to preserve the lives of our men, General Kanzin gave the order to abandon the outer fortifications west of the Desna River and retreat to the outskirts of Bryansk. A breakthrough of enemy formations was averted by the arrival of the famed mountaineers of General Ungarn Sternberg's 5th Army, who reinforced the embattled regulars and stemmed the tide. The Baltic front has been reinforced between Riga and Dvinsk, and General Drozdovsky's victorious 8th Army is redeploying to the Ukrainian sector. The strong German strike force in the United Baltic Duchy had been completely caught by surprise, and by the time they managed to organize a last stand in Reval, over 120,000 Germans, including several panzer divisions, faced certain defeat. The entrance to the port had been mined by Imperial Navy submarines, operating under the cover of darkness, and after a brief but fierce fight, the majority of the Reichspakt troops chose to lay down their arms. Almost 600 enemy tanks were destroyed, either by direct fire from our powerful 37mm guns or by their own crews before surrender. The first months have been a resounding success, despite combat losses from the fierce fighting having exacerbated shortages of material at the front. The Russian armed forces have achieved an astounding victory against the enemy, and the Reichspakt has been bruised, but is far from beaten. Determination and the support at the home front will decide our fate as Russia marches steadily forward. Apologies for my scratchy voice, I am somewhat under the weather. The arrival of the 8th Army at this Ukrainian front has put exceptional strain on the Khrushchev supply hub. So I think I'm gonna block any kind of Allied supply here in case there are friendly divisions showing up, like this Georgian division here. They will need to, as much as that's appreciated, they will need to bring their own supply. But we will also need to urgently improve the delivery of supply to this particular line of the front from Moscow. So upgrading the railway network here is going to be essential if we are to launch additional offensives. The other problem is obviously that currently the Air Force is trying to prevent an enemy air raid on the land warfare facility in Moscow, and as such we don't have air support over Ukraine. The third problem, as mentioned, is the lack of equipment, which is starting to bite, especially the fact that we're actually having a negative production factor. So we are going to probably have to, despite the fact that it's just June in the middle of summer, going to have to put a pause on frontline operations while the next attack towards Kiev is being planned. That should give us a little bit of time to consolidate the southern front, where we can continue to advance, probably take out Kherson and maybe Crimea to deprive the Ukrainians of the Sevastopol port, and support a potential push towards Kiev from the south once we get going. But yeah, the biggest problem is the lack of equipment at this point, and also the combat casualties are starting to bite at home. People are, despite the fact that we are very, very, we have an almost 15-to-1 loss ratio. We are obviously, people are not happy about Russian soldiers arriving in body bags. So we're going to slow down things, let the front lines stabilize, and make sure that we're getting ready for the next offensive. I think we can as well. No, we'll leave the mountain divisions here. They can help against the German armored spearhead, which is concentrated on this front line. So we'll let the Germans run into us for a bit. So they are After the losses, they're slightly under strength, but nowhere near as badly as some of our divisions. So especially support equipment, by now artillery and anti-air are running short. So that's where we are going to have to focus on. And we have to make sure that we get enough rifles, because the occupation obviously is going to require a fair amount of equipment, but we're pretty good there. So mostly we're using. Let's see what kind of equipment we're actually using. Well, whatever we can get our hands on, to be honest. But hopefully we'll be using more of the foreign equipment here, because it's not the most necessary. We do have some divisions getting into position in the north, and we can potentially. These divisions are still waiting for anti-aircraft guns, and we'll wait for and for a few flame tanks and other things, but. We can still deploy these if reinforcements are necessary for any kind of naval invasions. All right, so for now, we'll need to restructure the 6th Army positions and make sure that we get some supply onto the ready for the 8th, so they can start their advance. Meanwhile, the big artillery triplex in the Moscow Landwerfer facility has gone through the first. For the first prototype, and we've gained some insights, made some progress, and we are at 30% basically. So this is still going to take a while, but we're getting there. While Nizhny Novgorod is still waiting for the air breakthrough, so we'll wait for that. Meanwhile, some urgent construction of railways between Moscow and the front lines have been constructed. However, we can potentially, while we're waiting for the troops from the 2nd Army to get on the front lines, we have an opportunity to potentially push the German infantry out of Alexandrivsk and then threaten the river crossing, because Mariupol is currently supplied by sea, while the combat engineers are trying to get the railroads adapted to allow us to bring supply in by rail. But if we take Syczeslav, then that will basically kill supply for the southern flank of the front line. So given that the infantry is about as exhausted as our tank divisions, and they still have about 80% fuel and ammunition, we'll give it a try and see if we can. And we're purchasing some equipment on the market, mostly support equipment, because we are extremely short on that. So we'll see if we can make it across the river. That would be ideal, but no, they've been reinforced. A Ukrainian division from the north has joined them, so it looks like this is the point where we will probably stop the expansion for now, lest we run out of supply even worse. Give our units a little bit of time to stand back and organize themselves. We're facing relentless assaults by the German panzer divisions near Bryansk, but so far we are holding. But even the Guards divisions are having trouble holding the lines here. But all in all, I think we'll be in a decent position. Why is this division moving off? Let's see that they don't do that. All right, the rate, we still have a chance to repel of 62%. Given the intelligence, we'll try to construct a bit of anti-air in the Moscow region for an additional chance to shoot down any kind of enemy bombers that are trying to destroy the facility. I don't know how much damage that's going to do, but we are urgently going to need after that to begin or to increase our production of military factories. So that needs to preferably a bit more in the rear, so we're not getting afflicted by enemy bombing raids too much. But the infrastructure isn't great, so we may actually have to throw some infrastructure progress in there as well, especially where it makes sense and where we can improve. How are we on equipment? Okay, we're actually overcommitting on that and on steel. So we can reduce the imports here quite noticeably. There we go. Yeah, we're running a little short on aluminium, so any kind of improvements on aluminium in the long run are going to be useful, and of course fuel. So any significant oil positions would make sense, to get these increased still as well. So we'll do that as much as possible, and we also have a long queue of repairs necessary to get through. So we'll give it a bit of time for production to catch a breather and get there while we are attempting to discourage this attack on Moscow. Now that actually means that if we're not contesting the Ukrainian zone for now, we don't necessarily need to fight the enemy in the air there. Same over the Baltic zone. Baltic zone might actually make more sense. But I think for now, we've got 100% aerial superiority. So we'll leave it and see when that raid is actually going to be executed. And then we will shift back to fighting over the Ukrainian state. Okay, units arriving here at the front lines, and I think the lines are now beginning to stabilize. We could push forward in the south, but at this point, there's really not much to conquer here. The next important position is Sichislav, but we also need to sort out the Mariupol supply lines first. We've got 3 days remaining, and hopefully once the railways are connected, we're going to get a little bit more. Supply to the front lines here. And can mount an effective attack again. I'm going to start pulling the railway artillery probably a little bit more to the rear, because I don't want it to get damaged by enemy attacks. So it'll support that assault. So let's see if we can. These lines are not yet connected. Okay, once the railway is converted, then we can move it south. But in the meantime, we are going to hold the lines and try to deal with our supply shortage. I think lines are pretty much clear everywhere, and we haven't really seen anything in terms of a potential naval invasion. So that means we can get the 11th Army to actually begin exercising and make sure that the divisions are up to scratch. This one is interestingly moving. Yeah, I have no idea what that. I'll try to find out what's going wrong here. We might have included a sector in the area defense. Oh yeah, okay. But we've only got ports and there's no naval base. Why are you trying to go there? Makes no sense to me. We'll send you to Mariupol instead. Maybe that's what they were planning. All right, we do have 85 days to capture Kiev. Otherwise, we'll lose the momentum. But at the same time, with the significant arrival, as you can see, of German troops here along the lines, I think slowing down the advance into more surgical positions is a good idea, because now we're actually getting panzer divisions here as well. So sorting out the supply from Mariupol is going to be essential. Why are we only getting 8 supply through? That sounds relatively little. Is the base damaged? Doesn't seem to be the case. Could still be a restriction from the railway lines. So let's wait until that clears up and see if we can, because I do need to get supply here to the tanks in order to push forward. All right, that's been a big one, restricting foreign businesses. So as a final step in securing the Russian economy for the foreseeable future, we will introduce protectionist trade barriers and strict restrictions on foreign investment. While those measures will slow down our potential economic growth, they are necessary in order to fight back against the pervasive German influence in the state as we are preparing to overthrow their domination over Europe in a war of liberation. So this has gotten us to limited exports, which is actually not ideal. I would have been okay with export focus, but that obviously means that we can now completely cut the import of foreign goods, except for rubber, which we don't have enough of, which means that we are getting a significant amount of factories back that have been previously otherwise occupied. All right, so that's significantly better. So now, next step. We have war support should get a little better as we go. So we've got a few. We're still also waiting for the international to join. We've got a few things to do. This would actually be useful. 28 days. Let's do this because that will actually reduce the. And we can scale this down because that'll actually reduce the need to construct anti-air. So the next step. Okay, so Mariupol is still not getting supply. We're still a day away. So let's see what the supply situation is once the railways are cleared. That's still taking 3 days. So everything along the lines is quieting down a little bit, and Khrushchev is actually now getting better. So we could potentially begin an offensive with the 8th once the equipment situation has been sorted, because most of these are lacking support equipment, anti-air, artillery. There's a lot of things that are missing from this large-scale operation. We are getting the Germans have relocated, and Guderian is leading an armored assault now against our light tank divisions. So that obviously is a bit of a problem because these are relatively heavily armored tanks, and our light tanks are not capable of breaking through these. So if we look at the BT-7A, they have a piercing of 10. So the relatively light gun that they're running with is not capable of actually breaching the armor of the German medium tanks, which means this line is going to become more and more difficult to hold. So they've relocated from the north. They're now sending infantry in to hold the line, and they're trying to push us back towards Mariupol. We may have to give ground here if we can't sort out the supply situation. But we will see how. Yeah, that's the focus of their assault, and we will see how that. We'll see if we can hold them back. But right now we are struggling, especially given that we have that they have air support over the Ukrainian air zone. So that raid, I don't know when it's going to happen, but we are going to have to begin. Redirecting planes again over Ukraine. Otherwise, holding this line in the south here is going to become increasingly difficult, and we might have to pull back from these positions if it becomes excessively impactful here with all the German tanks attacking. That is going to be a hard fight. And I think they can. The medium tanks are holding up reasonably well against the German armor, but this unit still is completely confused, and I'm not sure what to do about that. But we might have to fall back actually from here towards a more defensible position, and shorten the front line back towards Mariupol, which is also going to increase. Okay, we've got supply now sorted, but we're still not getting enough supply to the front lines. So Mariupol is now sorted in terms of supply, which means that We can improve it a little bit, but we may have to fall back slightly. Also, the terrain is not particularly suited towards defense. So given that we're now dealing with the full might of the German army's counterattack here, we might prioritize instead a fortification of Mariupol, at least of a defensive line that would link up with the positions here. So let's prioritize that up. But we do have to. Yeah, we're still good. We're still building the railway connections. So we'll fortify the lines, and that's going to be our fallback. For now, I think we'll be. I think we'll be retreating. We'll be retreating from these positions here, and and then not try to counterattack, but we're falling back to slightly more defensible positions rather than trying to counterattack the German armored divisions. Let them take this. This is fine. The Eastern Sea War. Over the last century, Asia has become a continent largely dominated by Western powers. And though those exact powers have changed from London and Paris to Berlin, the fact has remained unchanged, much to the ire of Tokyo. Now, though, this status quo threatens to shatter as the Empire of Japan and the German Empire go to war. Despite hopes for peace, many have seen this turn of events as inevitable. Japanese plans for Asia, centered around itself, were always incompatible with German domination of the region, and with the West engulfed in crisis, Tokyo's leaders doubted whether another chance to realize these ambitions may appear. Whichever side fortune may favor, one thing is for certain: Asia's future hangs in the balance. That means, how is the Japanese war going? They still haven't taken Beijing, so they're not really making any progress there. But that now means German East Asia, and with that the whole Reichspakt, potentially, is now in a war with the Japanese Empire. And that further strains their resources from where they are. These attacks, these are friendly troops that are running assaults here. That's not us, so no need to panic. But we're now getting, and I'm going to remove the railway gun here, but we're now getting pushed back along the lines by the German medium tanks, and especially that we're not committing to air defense. Yeah, I don't know when that raid is going to be executed, but we may have to start redeploying the Air Force to Ukraine to counter the heavy bombardment, because that's also going to be problematic in terms of equipment. So let's. Did we have an airport? Yeah, we have an airport in Alexandrovsk, but that is relatively heavily contested. So it'll probably be safer to operate from the northern airports. So let's redirect the fighter wings. How much is this? 8 fighter wings on air superiority going south, and start challenging the Luftwaffe once more. That is going to give them a better chance of going through, but we do need to support. We cannot forever sit on the intelligence. We do need to support the troops on the ground here. We have enough political power to fill another role. So let's quickly see. We could go down to war economy, but I think that might not be a terrible idea. Other than that, we still have a chief of air force to fill, so that might actually the chief of air force might be a good role to put in first. So who do we have? We've got plus 5% air superiority, plus 10% air superiority, or 10% mission efficiency on air superiority. So these would be my choices here. So right now, obviously air superiority is extremely low, also due to mission efficiency and detection. But given the amount of damage that's being done to our divisions here, the Air Force is needed over Ukraine. And I think the 10% mission efficiency is probably a good choice here. Why am I having someone on interception? I thought everyone was on. There we go. Air superiority. That's better. Oh, that was from the bomber missions, from the raid missions. All right. No, we are going to. We are going to put the pursuit doctrine expert in for 10% mission efficiency on air superiority, probably. I think that's the best choice here. And with that, hopefully the mission efficiency is going to tick up, and we're going to start challenging the Germans in the air while we are retreating on the ground where necessary. How's the defensive line situation? Okay, that's our fallback defensive line here. I think we can give a bit of ground here to the heavy assaults by the German tank forces, and yeah, we'll fall back from the lines here where necessary. We'll defend the position, but we'll fall back where necessary. Cuba, the Netherlands, Sweden, and the Dutch East Indies have joined, and Fengtian and Burma have joined on our side. So we are now actually in a position where the Japanese that we had fought against north of Beijing are actually on our side. So is the Republic of Burma, but we have to deal with the Swedes, which means additional trouble in the Baltics. So right now we've got 267 mines in the Gulf of Finland and 67 mines in the Baltic Sea. We are still operating the submarine groups on mine laying, but other than that, most of the fleet is stationary in Petrograd, and we've got troops now defending the essential ports. However, I would like to have a few additional divisions here. So we're going to get these guards divisions because there is another naval invasion potentially. Get them onto the 11th Army, and then the 11th Army can. Currently, they're only defending the naval bases, but I would like them to as well potentially defend the air bases and victory ports. Coastline would be another option, but having somebody in the air base here would give us options to counterattack in case they're landing. They're probably going to land near Reval, I would assume. So getting the troops dug in there is, we're not going to run. Yeah, that's what the intelligence says. Reval is the target. So getting additional units over would help. They have to go through the minefields and actually deploy some naval power to control the Gulf of Finland, but that is the current situation. All right, we're going to have to retreat here in the north. I think the 4 panzer divisions we're not going to be able to hold that, so we'll fall back from the lines here and prevent reinforcements from showing up as well. The Philippines have joined the Empire of Japan in the assault. Okay, and we're getting now armored attacks south in Mariupol. How far is the construction of defensive works coming along? Okay, we have minimal forts here near Mariupol that we can fall back to. So we'll shorten the lines here, fall back into prepared positions, and make sure that we are not running into that we can control this. We can control the situation better here, and also get ahead over the. Okay, they're starting to bomb Russia again. So we do have to divert. We do have to divert planes to make sure that that doesn't happen. So that's these. The rest of them is covering Ukraine as best as they can. but there is now a relatively large number of enemy planes that we need to whittle down. They are starting to lose a fair amount of planes, and we're starting to disrupt their bombing runs. So it's important that we deal with the air situation over Ukraine before the before we can do any kind of further offensives. We have the 8th Army in place, but the overall is still short on materiel, and we're still deficient in anti-air and artillery. So that's where we actually need to significantly increase our production. So we'll probably go for 12. Let's go for 15. Let's go for 15 artillery and 10, not 20. It's too much. 10 AA. We're starting to build up anti-tank guns as well. We have a fair amount in stockpile. So what we could do is we could equip some divisions here with who do we have in the defense? We've got Casagrandi's 2nd Army, so we could get a few specialized divisions and see that we can make use of the anti-tank guns against the assault of the German armored divisions. So that would be a potentially useful thing. Let's see. So if we are going to change this template and duplicate this, and that would be, let's call it 2A, anti-tank, and they would actually have, we could go with line anti-tank, or we could go, we could replace the flame tank, because they're going to be relatively defensive. So if we give these, we need to get the piercing up significantly though. Support anti-tank itself isn't going to cut it, but it's going to be a relatively cheap option to do that. I don't think these were adding any piercing, are they? No, flame tanks not useful against enemy tanks. So we've got the support anti-tank, and we could actually do a line anti-tank. That gets us up to 38 piercing. If we replace the artillery, that would get us up to, or we add a second one. So like this, we'd get up to 40 piercing. So that should be enough, and we'll give them a different symbol to be a specialized anti-tank guards division. And we'll see how many of these we can equip in order to start taking on the German armor. Okay, I've converted some divisions here. They are obviously going to have to wait for the equipment to arrive on the front lines, and then hopefully they can take on the German armored forces more effectively. Meanwhile, the Socialist Republic of Italy has taken over Italy, and it is fully expected that they will be joining the Third International, given all the support that they've had there. They still have not declared war on Germany, so on the Reichspakt. So that's the other factor. It's unclear if there's a secret agreement between the Third International and the Reichspakt for the division of Russia, or if what other reason there is for them to hold their feet, to drag their feet, and not become effective on the lines here. Empire of Japan has asked for docking rights. We'll accept that for now, since we're fighting on the same side. And so far, there is enemy bombing, preparational bombing happening over the Baltic states, and we do need to deal with the Western Russian air zone as well. Okay. There's preparational bombing happening over the Baltic states for the naval invasion. We don't have the Air Force to contest that just yet. So there's a fair amount of how are we doing on fighter craft. We're still positive on fighters, so that's something that is going to work. But we are obviously also now diverting equipment towards garrisons. I think all in all, it looks pretty decent. How are our operatives doing? Okay, operatives are building intelligence networks, but the air situation is going to become increasingly critical, especially that we are, despite our best efforts, our air detection is terrible, and we're still taking a fair amount of damage. But we are beginning to whittle down. The enemy aircraft. However, production is by no means sufficient. We currently have 10 factories on the. We're probably going to need 15 on these, on the I-185s. Once these are coming into production in increased numbers. 73 days, I don't think we'll be taking Kiev in 73 days. So what is going to happen with that is we've not completed. We are getting 5% war support for a year. So right now we have the division attack, artillery attack breakthrough, and 10% attack on Ukrainian territory. But I think this is as far as we could go before the arrival of potentially allied troops, and the front lines weakens the German lines here. So we're falling back on the southern positions, and Greece has cancelled the contract for sales. I think that was support equipment that we've been purchasing from them. And the Socialist Republic of Italy has joined the Third International. Maybe this will finally give them the impetus of beginning offensive operations against the Reichspakt, as the month of June is coming to an end. And offensive operations into enemy infantry here is going to be significantly more difficult now that the German army has arrived in force than any other kinds of operations. So we're getting the railway cannon back into position. And the Indian Federation, since the end of the Weltkrieg, the Indian subcontinent has been split into three sides: the loyalist remnants of the British Raj, the socialists of the National Congress, and the reactionary Indian princes, who rejected both sides. With the dust having finally settled, the reactionaries have proven triumphant. And Osman Ali Khan now rules unopposed over the region as a new and independent monarch, setting his nation up to become a preeminent world power once it recovers from the devastation of the civil war. All right, have they taken any sides at this point? They have not, but we shall see if they align themselves with somebody in this ongoing Weltkrieg. The potential naval invasion in the Baltic so far has not launched, but obviously the continuous bombing of operations here are just making us chase down the enemy short-range support planes operating out of Ukraine. Sardinia has joined the Entente. And from more news, I assume from Italy. Today, the chairman of the Socialist Republic of Italy, Benito Mussolini, announced that the second Risorgimento of Italy had finally been completed. Ever since the Civil War, we have dreamt of an Italy that is not only whole, but is truly free, he said to a cheering crowd in Rome. Now that dream has become a reality. Italy has been released of its foreign masters, of its capitalist masters, of its kings and aristocrats. Now, for the first time, it truly belongs to the Italian people. Do not trust this man. Syndicalist forces have been busy, spreading throughout the parts of the country once dedicated to resisting syndicalist control, and it's unknown if the Socialist Republic will ever truly attain the stability the government has promised. The Socialist Republic of Italy is a fact now. Right, the air war over Ukraine is the air war everywhere is, I'm going to constantly have to redirect fighter wings here. The air war is over Ukraine is becoming, it's these 100 support planes that I constantly have to chase down. Seems to become better. It looks like the enemy has moved forces out, potentially over the Baltic states where they are engaged in bombing, which is also reducing our overall war support. But these are conquered areas. This is not. They will have to live with that fact for the time being. And things are starting to calm down a little bit as the front lines are stabilizing here, and troops are jockeying for position. And we can hopefully finally catch a bit of a breath when it comes to the equipment situation. The Empire of Japan wants to sign a pact of non-aggression, and honestly, given that we are currently engaged in the fight against the common enemy, that is something that we are willing to accept and tolerate for the time being. As the front lines are stabilizing, the Germans have moved their tanks north, but trying again another assault at the Bryansk front. But that kind of puts a bit of a trouble into this whole situation, because that means I actually do need to get these. I need to get these troops into a separate army that is going to be specialized in anti-tank warfare, and needs to deal with the. We're going to get General Kappel needs to deal with the tanks wherever they show up. Which also means that we potentially need a few more divisions to refill the now under strength Second Army, which is missing 5 divisions. So we're going to train up 5 more Guards divisions. Military necessity has led to interceptors and fighters being pulled off from protecting the Moscow raid, and the enemy has managed to break through. They have lost 30 planes in the progress, but at the same time they have done heavy damage to the land warfare facility, which has set the project back by about a month, and has damaged or destroyed about half the facility, which now necessitates repairs. This was a hard call to make, but the Ukrainian front had to be stabilized. The German assaults had to be slowed down, and that was the price that we ended up paying for it. We've got another air wing here, and we do need to divert a few fighter wings now. That's 100, that's 200 actually, so we do need 3 fighter wings here. We do need to divert fighter wings constantly towards slowing down the bombing raids that they're conducting across Russia. Ethiopia has taken over Eritrea, and the Baltics are getting bombed quite heavily. But the fighting happens over Ukraine. We do not have enough fighters, which means something always suffers. But if we can manage to shoot down enemy aircraft, then it is always worth the effort. And if we can disrupt the enemy in damaging our supply lines, that as well. All right. Okay. This unit here needs to stop doing what it's doing. We will probably have to take. Oh, that's why there was another section here that didn't belong there. Okay. Yep. There we go. Now that fixed it. All right. In Canada, a conscription crisis is arising. French-speaking Canadians have long opposed conscription, viewing the idea of fighting wars on behalf of the British as offensive. Now that the Canadian government has enacted full conscription in the country, the response across the French-speaking province of Quebec has been swift. French Canadians have taken to the streets in massive, crippling protests. It is a reenactment of the conscription crisis of 1917, although this time it seems French Canadians have lost their patience. Again and again we are called upon to shed French blood on behalf of English wars, Quebec Premier Maurice Duplessis had told an angry crowd in Quebec City. We say no, and they tell us we must. Quebec will never be free of English tyranny so long as it is the lapdog to English politicians. So far, the Entente doesn't really seem to have joined much yet. I think it's still it's the Egyptian-Persian War officially. That is the Weltkrieg, or the Russian-German War probably. So okay, so now we have a bit more. We have a bit more overview here. So we're starting to equalize in manpower now that the Empire of Japan has joined, and the losses on the German Empire are steep, but not crippling by any means whatsoever. So the war is rapidly now grinding to a halt of a more positional warfare, where we are defending against German assaults, but it allows us to slowly regain our equipment, or to slowly resolve our equipment situation. And we might not need, once we go on the offensive, we're probably going to need 15. And we will continue to build up our, yes, we need some more civilian factories because they get reduced as we go, but we need some more, we need some time to rebuild the units that were otherwise occupied. Okay, General Kappel has taken command of the 12th Army, and he can become a winter expert, which is going to be helpful. So we have to, unfortunately, we'll have to chase the German tanks. So we'll send them into positions, but as soon as the tanks are going to be faster at relocating, so we'll send them where they can assist in order to defeat the attacks. Right now, that's the Bryansk front line, and with the concentration of the Germans in the north, we may have a chance to retake territory near Mariupol with the concentrated. Stefan's concentrated 6th Army. We also still have some outdated divisions here, so these actually need to be changed into, can we do this? No, we don't have enough tanks. We're way short of tanks. But we're now facing only Ukrainian defenders here, so we can potentially begin another offensive operation and see if we can take Syczeslav. Now that the German tanks have moved off, so we've got the fallback line, and we'll make a controlled push westwards towards Syczeslav. Right, we are beginning operations immediately against 2 Ukrainian divisions, and they stand relatively little chance. So if we can manage to breach the lines here. Push the exhausted Ukrainians out of Alexandrivsk and make our way through towards Syczeslav. Then from there on, we can probably begin more mobile operations once more. Now that the German army has moved off. However, we would have to take Pavlograd in order to get the lines connected. So for now, it'll just be securing these. It'll just be a factor of securing the supply hub, and then beginning operations to cut off the enemy in the south, which I think we can probably already, we'll get the tanks to concentrate. This is something that we can actually do relatively soon. So we get 5 armored divisions pushing the river, and to see if we can get across. We'll divert 1 to pin the Ukrainian enemy in place, and 4 divisions have moved north into Syczeslav, have taken the supply position, and we can see if we can launch an assault against Pavlograd actually from here. 2 tank divisions should be sufficient. So let's see if we can launch a concentrated push north towards Pavlograd, and that would once we have with some infantry support, once we have the railway lines connected, things are going to get better. All right, the anti-tank divisions are slowly starting to trickle in, and they will hopefully assist against, I think we need them here as well. They will assist against the, let's send one south here. They will assist against the attacks from German tanks where possible. But this is becoming an overall problem that we have trouble countering. Trouble countering the German armor, and wherever the panzers show up, the line gets into trouble. So that's something that we will have to deal with sooner rather than later. Burma asks for docking rights. Yes, we are on the same side at this point. We can always retract that. All right, tanks are moving north. We only need one tank division. The other three can. No, you move north, please. All right. So with Pavlograd secured, we are now going to get supply out of Syczeslaw, and that means we can use the other tank divisions here to begin a rapid encirclement of the southern Ukrainian forces and see if we can get them cut off from, including a German cavalry, no, that's a Polish cavalry division, sorry. Meanwhile, in the north, we are holding, but the 12th Army Special Divisions are too few in between. But the German armored assaults are still faltering somewhat. So it's just a matter of getting the anti-tank guns, and now we're throwing the 31st Guards in, and that should make a very quick end to this assault. So let's get these divisions in position. We have a decision available. Which one is it? Okay, that's the Kiev timeout. Yeah, I don't see that happening. That we take Kiev within these days. We're still fighting the air battle over Kiev, and we're still defending against enemy incursions. We're starting to wear them down surprisingly, actually. So we're still having a 1-to-2 kill-death ratio on that front. And here, I think we can begin the operations to shrink the enemy position, because now we have them encircled, and that means that's another 3 Ukrainian divisions as well as 1 Polish division eliminated. Once we have taken care of these, we'll throw the infantry in as well. And that means, while we're holding the northern line, that means we have severely damaged the southern flank, while the Germans are bashing their heads into the defensive positions in the north, and we constantly need to juggle the anti-tank divisions around. We might need something a bit more substantial to deal with German armor at some point. However, if we can wrestle the air, the superiority in the air from the enemy, that would be advantageous. And so far, they are grinding themselves down here, and it might become a matter of patience. So last division's encircled here, and that will be another victory, which means we can already. Do we have supply out of Syczeslaw yet? No, it's not yet connected, but we can potentially already clear the path towards. We'll divert the second armored and see if we can clear a path. Okay, air defense infrastructure is completed. That means we have additional anti-air in the Russian air zones, which should help against the bombing runs as well. And I think I'm going to go for the War of Motors now. Nothing in the world unites Russians quite like their antipathy for the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. The spirit of revanchism burns bright, but righteous indignation is just one step on a long journey. Russia must prepare herself for the mortal struggle to come, a war of minds and motors, because that gives us two 2 free military factories, and that is also giving us a few more things that are good. So that's all underway. And the southern operation here is becoming while the Germans are busy elsewhere, it's becoming relatively successful. All right, so the anti-tank troops are moving back into position, but it looks like the German tanks have been moved off, and that means they are once again going to be needed elsewhere. Once we find out where have the panzers moved? These are Polish. There's the 12th Panzer Division here. But the main tank force along the Bryansk line has actually moved off. It looks like they might be moving north. So unfortunately, we don't know yet where to redeploy. It could be that they're trying for Vitebsk. So we'll reinforce Vitebsk for now, and see if that's where the German armored divisions are going to end up engaging. The problem is that they're significantly faster than us, so it'll take some time to get there. We have a decision available. Okay, mine production. Yes, keep expanding the mine production in the Baltics. How's our mining situation there by now? All right, Gulf of Finland, 407 mines. Okay, actually, it looks like one of the mines in the Baltic Sea has been hit by a ship, and one ship has been sunk. Do we actually know what that was? We should see it in. We have lost 3 convoys, but it doesn't seem that we are actually seeing what has been sunk by the mines. It could have been a transport ship, but reports that something has run onto a mine have rolled in, so that's good news. All right, here we have cleared the positions, which means we can now reorient the. Where are they? We can reorient the 6th Army and start threatening Crimea while the Germans are busy elsewhere, while the infantry is holding Syczeslav. Now the lines are going to get a little stretched here for the 2nd because they're actually down on manpower as well. So that may be a bit of a problematic situation eventually, but we will have to see. We might have to divert some troops from other front lines to reinforce the 2nd. I think we've got probably 2, or we don't know exactly what we're facing here in the Baltics, so we might probably leave that as is. We'll just deploy the reinforcements as soon as they become available. Did I check what decision was that? Was there another decision that's available? What does it say? Oh no, that's just the event timeout. Okay. Right. So right now, armored divisions are still advancing against Ukrainian infantry, and the 53rd Infantry Division is getting pushed back here by Georgian troops in the south. We'll see if we can manage to break through and create a beachhead in Crimea. The Philippines have asked for a non-aggression pact. I am happy with that. And do we know? Yeah, so they are starting to. The armored divisions are starting to hit the Vitebsk ground, and that means the anti-tank divisions are now actually engaged. There we go. And they can do full damage to the enemy armor. So that should blunt these new anti-tank guns, specialized high-velocity armor-piercing cannons, should make a significant impact against the Germans. We were actually hunting German convoys, were we, or Ukrainian convoys by the looks of it? I didn't know we were doing that. I thought the submarines here were on. Mining. Yes, they are. So we've laid 44 mines so far in the Black Sea. But we'll see how that goes. But for now, let's follow the once again completely exhausted tanks of the Stefan 6th Army and see if they can make it. Let's see if they can make it through. And Venezuela has joined the Third International as well. If they can make it through towards the port and potentially towards Crimea, we can significantly shorten the line for the tanks and get the rest of the armored divisions pushed south, because we're now starting to see infantry trickling in. But the lines are thin here, so oh, there we go. France and has declared war on Germany. So now with that, the German Empire suddenly has to fight a war on two fronts. The German panzer divisions have been blunted by specialized Russian anti-tank forces, and the German Air Force is, while operational across Ukraine and having the aerial superiority there, is taking significant losses in the air battle over Ukraine, and unfortunately the bombing runs over Russia are still happening, which means we have to deal with some slowdowns and repairs, but all in all it's manageable. We've begun construction of additional military factories. The stockpile situation is getting better. We're just short of anti-air. I think artillery actually probably doesn't need that many. We'll leave it. We'll leave it at 10 for now. Maybe like 12 or something. Just do it like that. But are we going to need additional anti-tank guns for now? Probably not. We'll just leave one factory on these, and we are going to, and we're going to need a lot of still a lot of reinforcements on these. But we're positive on light tanks. We've captured some medium tanks actually. We are still short on the flame tanks and on anti-air, and obviously all the heavier equipment hasn't been produced yet, but we're getting there. On the naval side, Gulf of Finland is in a good situation, and we have laid a fair amount of mines in the Barents Sea, so the submarines in the northern force here are active to prevent any kind of potential naval incursion into Lapland from the enemy side. But with the Third International now starting to join the war, I think the Reichspakt is going to get increasingly constricted when it comes to the North Sea, and getting out into the north is getting increasingly unlikely. So we could see if we can operate these submarines elsewhere once they're complete with their mine-laying operations. And for now, let us see if we can manage to breach through. The Netherlands have joined, and Britain, Norway, Socialist Venezuela, Italy, and Spain have all joined. So final operations here against cutting off Crimea. I think we have managed to cut off Crimea from everything but naval operations. Some military minds in Europe had believed that any inevitable continental war would be over in a matter of months due to powerful new technological advances. However, any lingering delusions about the scale of modern warfare have quickly vanished in the face of the torrid tales of brutality coming out of conflict-ravaged Western Europe. Vienna has looked on with trepidation at the rearmament of the syndicalist powers for years, and now, with open conflict threatening to upturn the balance of power in Europe, they have decided to openly intervene against the International. Already, imperial troops are marching against syndicalist forces, posing a new threat to the world revolution. So that now obviously makes a big difference, because the Reichspakt now suddenly includes part of their old central forces. Now, the Ottomans, fortunately, has so far, at least the Ottoman rump state hasn't been joining yet, but that now, so the the domino effect has been noticeable, where the joining of Italy on the side of the Third International has triggered the Austrian Empire to join the Reichspakt, which means that the whole war situation suddenly has turned itself into its head, and it is now officially called the Second Weltkrieg, where we have overall 9 million men on the side of the okay, that's actually incorrect. Yeah, this is better. Okay, so we've got 11 million men on the side of the Moscow Accord, Third International, and the Japanese Co-Prosperity Sphere, as well as Armenia, the last holdout of the Tabriz Accord, against the Reichspakt, bringing all in all 8.6 million men, as well as the Cairo Pact, which has been relatively defeated already. So despite the fact that Austria has joined, the threat from the Third International is going to be a significant one against the Reichspakt. And the blunting of, as we can see here, the blunting of the German armored spearhead by specialized anti-tank divisions is making a significant impact on their ability to conduct maneuver warfare, and all the while the tanks are busy. As soon as the tanks are busy elsewhere, the Russian forces are able to advance, and yep, we sell things to Canada, that's fine, are able to advance, and we're looking at, despite the fact that the tank divisions are completely exhausted, we have reinforcements coming in, and it looks like we will be able to push them back towards Crimea, secure the lines here. Well, long anticipated, the outbreak of war between Russia and Germany was a dramatic shock. The last time there was war between the great powers of Europe, it quickly spiraled to include the entire continent. Even if they couldn't act instantly, all could see that the Third International, Germany's rivals to the west, has been becoming more assertive in recent years. Following some tense weeks, Pierre Monat made a speech early this morning describing the war as the spark of the final conflict and declaring that France is obligated to act in this pivotal moment. While not directly referencing Russia, the intent towards Germany was clear, confirmed by large army movements along Alsace-Lorraine. Once more, Germany must fight a war on two fronts. And with that, the war continues, but with the entry of all the new players, things are suddenly starting to look very, very different in Europe.